As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Booner. Lucas, we got a packed show today. It's Wednesday, which means the Doc is joining. The Doc. I cannot wait for it. We got a lot to talk with the Doc about. Also, got my impact players later in the show in the second hour.
Yes,
we
sir.
got Ohio State representatives doing some stage. Sore loser. You know, I think that we'll bring that up in a couple minutes. We got the injury report update. Who will play, who will not play for the Lions. We'll discuss it all here. Appreciate you being here, fellas. How we feeling?
Hey, I feel like $1 million today. It's what is it? Wednesday, hump days. It's the kids say. Feel good though. I mean, I was driving home today. A lot of snow started coming down again. It just keeps happening to me every time I get on the road. Snow. Don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But hey, welcome to the. I think I need new tires too. I don't know if this is a bad thing or not. I think my tires, my treads. Klotz, you're a tire guy.
Yeah,
I think my treads are coming low. I'm a little nervous because I drive an hour 15 to work every day.
I'll come up when I come up this weekend. I'll take a look at them. All right.
What if I don't? Tires are expensive.
Tires are expensive. I'll tell you what to get them. I'll hook you up.
I don't think I've rotated them. I've had the car for about a year now.
Well, now
I'm not that big of a car guy. I have some people in my life that I say, hey, my car's making this noise. What do you think it is? They give me advice, like I'm not that big of a car guy. I wish one thing in my life that I wish I could just magically put away is like car problems. I wish I never could ever like just cars perfect forever.
I mean, that's fair.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Feel good though. Good day.
Every like I would say every two oil changes, I rotate you got to rotate those tires. You know what I mean? Got to rotate them. Now you're all in now. I mean, you're all in. I mean, maybe it is time to probably just get some new tires. But hey, it's winter. We got football this weekend. Lions, Bills. We got injury updates. Before we get to all of that, I saw this on my timeline. I did. I saw this. I saw this on my timeline, and I don't know, Klotzy, what's going on in Ohio? You know what's going on in Ohio? I mean, this happened in Ohio. Representative wants to make it a felony to plant a flag at the center of Ohio State Stadium.
And then it's literally and I posted something on Twitter, X, whatever you want to phrase it as earlier. But this is the most single embarrassing thing to ever come out of the state of Ohio. And I believe his name is Jason Williams, Josh Williams. He's no white chocolate. But when you look at it, it's like, what do you gain by it? It's not going to pass. But realistically, what do you gain if this bill were to be passed? What about this is attractive for Ohio State fans? There's nothing about it. Like, this is the most insecure, woke, just straight pussy behavior out of a program after a loss. And I said, if anybody deserves a felony, it's Ryan Day. If a college kid goes and plants a flag at a stadium, good for him. He probably won a big game, big moment in his life. But if anybody should be getting felonies, it's Ryan Day for what he's done to that football program. Because Ohio State next year is not going to be as good as they were this year. This was like not the one and only shot, but this was the best program in Ohio, or best team in Ohio State history. And you found a way to lose to Davis Warren. So this whole reaction, both after the game immediately and now, is just embarrassing. Like Ohio State, when Michigan planted that flag, I understand why like the players like Sam Hubbard and a lot of those seniors were there having an issue with it because they never beat Michigan. But at the end of the day, take the L. The worst part about it is this dude's from Toledo. He lives literally 5 minutes from me in Sylvania. He's not even from Toledo. He's from Slovenia, the woke part of Toledo. So the fact that this came from him, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all.
Klotz, I respect you kind of saying, hey, I'm a Michigan fan now. I do respect that. But the thing is, with all of that, it's just like, what are we doing, boy? Like, this is college football. This is sports. Imagine going into like a high school stadium or like an NFL team or somewhere else and being like, hey, this tradition has to stop or it's going to be a felony. Like, that's the dumbest thing of all time. The dumbest thing. Now, like, and I would understand, like, hey, if Michigan fans or players or Klotzy, if they're like ruining your stadium or they're
like
vandalizing this,
destructive.
that, guys, it is a turf field. When we say plant the flag in the middle of the field, if you watch they don't even put the flag in the field. You can't. It's a turf field. It's literally just being like, my flag is here on the. You are saying you cannot bring a flag into a stadium. That is the most ridiculous, weirdo behavior I've ever. Loser behavior. And I think this guy's a Lions fan. I think we should shun him from being a Detroit Lions fan. It's so soft. This guy, hey, Klotz, Ohio State should come out with they should have came out with a statement like yesterday before this even came out and said, hey, we do not know this guy. We're out on him. Like, that should never be a thing. And if there was any Ohio State fan, Jack Sawyer's probably over there just like, oh my gosh, yes, let's go. I'm all in on this. Woo! Like, Jack Sawyer, that loser as well. He's probably doing the same exact thing.
He probably loves very that. Good pro player, Boone.
All right, that's fine. But at Ohio State,
he was
crumb bum.
He was not.
Crumb bum.
You just called Jack Sawyer a crumb bum.
Hey,
it's tough if he comes to Detroit Lions and those clips are out there.
I'm not gonna be some like insecure Ohio State fan.
What the felony is losing to Michigan 4 straight years. That's a felony. Yes. You know what I mean? That's the felony. It's not arguably in the middle of the field.
And I would say, besides last year, I think last year Michigan was the better team. Ohio State, talent-wise, was better 3 out of those 4 years. That's what is like even more just of a disaster. They had the better quarterback. The only thing they didn't have was the better coach. That was simply it. Maybe defensive line. But right. Ohio State's defensive line, they got 2 guys who are going to go in the first 20 picks of the draft this year. Michigan, same type of thing. I would still like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant more. Like JTT and Jack Sawyer, like those are some actual guys.
What a crazy last couple. I mean, you got Michigan beating Ohio State for the 4th time. Now it's a felony to plant a flag. I mean, what are we doing? We're
only in Columbus too. If you do it in Toledo, Cincinnati, if you do it at Cincy, if you go up to Akron, wherever you want, you can do it there, just not in Columbus.
Yeah, well, that's
crazy, Klotz. I mean, you guys should be embarrassed, dude. I mean, it's so embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Like the last 6-month stretch you guys have had as Ohio State fans of losing to Michigan, and then now having this come out like that's like you should be like if I'm you, I'm almost considering not being an Ohio State fan.
Bring Uncle Bill to North Carolina.
Wherever you want to go, dude, anywhere but Ohio State. If this was happening in Michigan right now, I would stay a Michigan fan. But I think you should step away from Ohio State.
I honestly I think this will be my last. If they keep Ryan Day another year, and I will not be.
Hey, Klotz, we've already made the deal, and you didn't come through on the deal.
But
this
year. Is like boom, like this is completely.
We made
different.
the deal already.
This is like look at what Ohio State looks like right now.
All right, let me make a deal then. Let's make another deal here in front of the people.
All right.
If Ryan Day is the head coach next season at Ohio State, you are not allowed to for the whole season say anything positive or cheer for the Ohio State University. You are not allowed to.
If Ryan Day stays?
If he is there next year, you are out completely on Ohio State for the year.
I won't.
All right, shake on it. And you can't. Shows, content, nothing. Off air, you cannot say a good thing about Ohio State. You cannot be a fan, nothing.
Yeah, because they won't win a damn thing.
Okay. I love that deal. Love the Jeff.
If
can't talk Ohio State at all.
I know.
If Ryan Day can't get it done this year,
be the head coach
he will never, ever win a national championship at Ohio State. You know what they need to do? They need to bring Matt Campbell, the probably the best coach to come out of Ohio since Urban Meyer. He won at Toledo, he's been winning at Ohio State, won at Cincinnati with Desmond Ridder and those boys. That's who they should bring back up. If you're not going to bring in Hartline, because it looks like teams like West Virginia are about to poach Brian Hartline, and Ohio State won't even elevate him. I've been saying they need to be doing that, but bring somebody.
He just got the contract extension at Iowa State.
If you're Matt Campbell and you get offered a contract by Ohio State instead of Iowa State, you're taking it. If you pause,
yeah, I guess so.
Dude, it's literally it's
that's
like,
on me.
Hey, if Michigan was like, you know what, Sharon Moore, we don't want you. Matt Campbell, you want to come coach at Michigan? You're saying yes. Like Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, like those are programs where you sign that contract extension at Iowa State. to build something so you can find that resume builder to go and compete to get a job at Ohio State, at Michigan, at those type of programs. So, yeah, he'd take that.
Well, hey, speaking of a winning program, Lions, hey, they're winning. Number one in the NFC, number one in the NFL. And we have the injury report, updated injury report, Lions, Bills. I want to put this on the screen. We'll talk more with Lions now. We'll get to the Bills in a little bit here. But some of the injury updates. So only first practice Wednesday. So we got our first bit of information of guys that are playing, that participated in practice. We'll find out more Thursday and Friday. DJ Reader, shoulder, kind of dealing with what he dealt with last week or the prior week, really, but he's out of practice. He participated in warmups, but he didn't actually go through the practice. So Levi Onwuzurike, hamstring, limited practice. That's good news. Josh Paschal, knee, limited practice. That's also good news. Yep. And then Taylor Decker and Aleem McNeil. This is great news, fellas. Full practice for those two, Taylor Decker and Aleem McNeil. So they will play officially. Josh and Levi probably questionable. I hope they can play. And then DJ, I'm going to be honest, my heart's saying yes. I think this is more like you're a vet. You kind of know what to expect. DJ, just rest up. Maybe he gets to play on Sunday. I wouldn't count him out either.
I mean, I would think, and can I just I'm just going to be honest with the boys, with the fellas, the chat. I would think all of these guys end up playing Sunday. And, like, obviously, DJ Reader's the farthest away. I would not be shocked. Like, Taylor Decker's going to play. Aleem's going to play. If he was full practice today with the concussion protocol, he's in. He's going to be in. I don't see how Josh Paschal and Levi O with that time off don't end up playing. The only one that you're sitting there and you're like, oh, my gosh, it's DJ Reader. And honestly, guys, like, DJ Reader is a big help to this defense. If he's the only guy out, I'm very confident going into Sunday. Very confident. Even if DJ Reader's out. Like, for Josh Paschal to come back, fellas, with Josh Allen coming and running, and you have someone to set the edge like Josh Paschal has, you're in a really good spot. And now you have Levi O to rotate in. Aleem is back in the middle. Like, fellas, we're sitting in a great spot offensively. You add in Taylor Decker back in. Like, things are happening, fellas. I'll tell you that. I'll just tell you that. Once this team gets healthy and guys start getting healthy, and especially the IR guys get back, this team's going to get scary really quick. And they're already the best team in football. And that was with injuries.
I think DJ, obviously, DJ's a big one because of, what he does in the run game. He's shown more in the pass game over the last, really this season for the Lions. He has a career high in sacks, I believe. But James Cook, he was stopped in his tracks last week. I've never been a huge James Cook guy. I don't think he goes out and torches the Lions or anything like that, but just having DJ there helps. But if you can get Josh and Levi back, it does kind of help a little bit. But I will say, Lucas, I do think just early thoughts, I guess. I don't have like inside information or anything like that. We'll ask the doc later, kind of his input as well. But I think DJ will play. I do. That's the feeling I get on Wednesday.
I'm interested to see what they do because I think DJ, most likely he could play. But when you look at Pat O'Connor, those guys played really well. You're talking about Levi and Josh being back. When we talk about this Buffalo Bills game, would you rather have, and I'm not saying rushed, but would you rather potentially put DJ back in a situation and playing situation where he's not quite 100%, he's damn near close, when you have, 3 NFC matchups coming up after that, including 2 in the NFC North. So when I look at it, I wonder if he might be good to go, but not quite 100%, because we see that with the Lions a lot. Like, if a guy's not 100%, they hold him out a little bit longer. Look how long it's taken Emmanuel Mosley to get back. So when you look at DJ Reader, I think they probably are resting him because he's a veteran, but I would not be surprised if he's out. And same thing with either Paschal or Levi. I don't think both of those guys are going to miss, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of them do later on. So it'll be interesting, but I think at least 3 of those guys do. Booner, you could be right, and all 5 of them do play. I just don't think that's.
I would say this
necessarily like a lock, and I know you're not saying that either, but I just don't think it's like, if I were to be betting, I'd say 4 of them play, 3 of them play, not 5 of them.
I would say lock in 4 out of the 5, and DJ Reader's the one you just sit out and you say, hey, what's going on with that? That's it. But the 4, like Josh and Levi, like, again, there were the questions like last week. Are they going to be able to get in? You have this extra 10 days off, essentially. Like, you might as well get these guys going. Like, they should be going.
Yeah, when you look at NFC wins are going to be the most important thing here going forward, even though you want to win this game this weekend. So, with the Bears, with the 49ers, with the Vikings still kind of up, you still got to face those teams.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the games that you have to win. I mean, you have to win preferably every game, but specifically stacking up those NFC wins. You got to do it because their loss this year was to an NFC team. Luckily, the Eagles lost to the Bucs as well. But this game, to me, I like I've talked about it yesterday. I like the Lions in this matchup, and the game is significant because it is a Super Bowl preview. But at the end of the day, it's not the end-all, be-all. Like, it's good for storylines. It's great for content. You're facing the Bills. But, like, in the larger spectrum of things, like, it really – both teams want to get this game just to get another win to kind of get that number one seed. But there's bigger games, in my opinion, moving forward. Like that Vikings game at the end of the year could be like, or the division, like huge, depending on what happens over the next couple of weeks.
I do think like the only last two difficult games you have. Look at next week. What do you play the Bears? Is it the Bears next week? And then the 49ers. Like, to me, those are two games where I'm not going to sit there and be like,
I think in Chicago,
dude, Klotz. I will always say that, but what's going on in Chicago with the coaching changes? We have never seen a coaching change in Chicago. I'm not going to get into this argument, but I'm just saying, like, you have two games where you're supposed to win, and then you have on Sunday, and you have the final week with the Vikings. Like, to me, it's like if you win this football game, you're setting yourself up to you're in a great spot. I know it's the AFC team though, fellas, but like you have two playoff teams left on your roster, and like if you could take care of them, you're essentially, in my opinion, you're set to get the one seed, and you're well on your way. And so I do think it's just like, hey, let's get this week, let's win this week. I know at the beginning of the weekend I was like, it's not that big of a deal, AFC match. No, if you win this game and you win that Vikings game, you're essentially a lock for the one seed, in my opinion, because those two games in the middle take care of themselves. Like those are the two biggest weeks left of this 4-game stretch, and they are a problem this week. Like, this is the best football team that you have played to date. It's probably the best team you will play all season long. Is this Bills team? So like you have to come ready to play. Like these guys coming off injuries, hey, you better be ready. Like Josh, like I know guys are coming off injuries. I talked about it with Broderick coming off the eye. Broderick's played games now. Like, hey, Broderick, if we need, you better be ready. There's Jeff. I'm not giving any poll room anymore. It's time.
Poll room.
It's time. This Sunday, it is time. This is when. Hey, all the marbles. Is that the saying?
All the marbles
for
all the marbles on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Broderick is if he does get some more run this weekend, it'll probably be a mix-up of different guys, because Broderick, when he was out there, he had some flashes. He also had some bad plays. So I don't know. Maybe they're thinking maybe they like Broderick enough every week he'll improve. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Who knows? But right now you got Pat O'Connor. That man right now is playing some good ball now. He's playing
the Irishman.
He's playing some good ball. And honestly, guys, I'll get to it later. There's some other guys that could be sneaky, breakout players.
Do you have a good breakout list today, Jeff Iafrate?
I always got a good breakout list. I always
did you go a little in depth here? That's what I'm asking you. I'm interested.
Well, like every week, I give the guys I believe are going to make an impact. So I'll leave.
I love that response, dude. Every time, every week, the same response. I love it.
The PR response. They still got guys like Jamal, Quan, David Long Jr. getting some run out there.
Turner.
It's not. It's still not a healthy Lions defense. Like, there's still a part of me where I still believe this game will be more high scoring, and I still believe there will be some fourth down decision making that will probably have to be had in this game, personally. But I think this offense is going to give this Bills defense some problems. That's how I think. Speaking of what the Rams did last weekend, I think the Bills, they got some pass rushers. That's probably the one thing I would look at and be like, all right, offensive line's got to be on point. You get Taylor back. That's great news. But I really do think Jameer and David both not having a great game, like in terms of what we are used to seeing. I think you might have one of those games this week where they go crazy in the run game. And now you got Jared working out a play action, which that's a problem for defenses. If they're running the ball that well, like Jared beat the Packers last week, the offense played extremely well. and he dropped back 40 plus times. You get Jared in play action this week against that Bills defense. You know, you want to control the clock. But that man, Jared, might come back and he might have a game like he did last week where he just lights up this defense. I don't think the Bills, after last week, this Bills defense, you don't think Ben's watching that film? You don't think Ben's watching that film going, oh, yeah, I see how we can pick apart these boys.
You know what? I'll give credit too. Easy's in the chat right now. I was listening to Easy, and he said one of the best things I've heard about this Lions team, about how they're like, I think the word he used was a chameleon. Is that that's the right animal? Is a chameleon. About how like Ben Johnson is so good, and I think he said Dan Campbell was the point, but even with Ben Johnson, like they are so good going up against specific defenses and specific teams and DCs and players, not just offensively, but also like AG defensively, and being like the way Easy broke it down. It was either Easy or Spenny, but the way they broke down was like, hey, we have our strengths on offense, and we're gonna go at your weaknesses, and everything that we notice your weakness, and guess what? The Buffalo Bills are 19th in the NFL in rush defense. 19th. Guess what you are? Like your rush offense. You have the best offensive line in the NFL and two of the best running backs in the NFL. All right. This week, guess what it's going to be? We're going to run the ball down your throats. Jeff, what is the one thing I always say about going up against star players or great offenses? How do you keep them and limit them and take away their game? What do you do?
Yeah, turn the ball over.
But you keep them off the field. And how you do that, you win time of possession and you run the ball and you have long possessions and you kind of go out there and you dominate in those long possessions and you say, hey, we're not going to give Josh Allen as many chances as he thinks he's going to get. We're going to take his possessions away with turnovers, and also we're going to have long possessions and we're going to keep our defense off the field so they don't even have to worry about Josh Allen. Like that's like I think the recipe for success for the Lions week after week after week. And this is finally, and this is what I love about the season so far, is like we finally get to see them versus another Super Bowl contending team. We have not seen it yet. Like I'm not putting the Packers in that convo. I'm not putting the Vikings in that convo. Like there are teams that we've played, not putting in that combo. Like a legit Super Bowl contending team. This is the first one you're going to see, and we're going to know really quick, like, hey, they're going to be able to adapt to every single team, because when the playoffs comes, you're constantly going up against these teams, and especially NFC Championship, probably the Eagles, Super Bowl, Bills, Chiefs, whoever that is. Like you're gonna have to adapt and find ways. I think Sunday it's let's run, Jeff, to your point, like let's run the ball. Like it's gonna be different every week, and this week, run the ball. Pumped up.
Yeah,
I just see in the chat. I Easy said I want a Booner 100 chip stream. That's just I don't know how many if that's a lot. I don't know.
I feel like 100 chips really wouldn't be that crazy. I think that'd be like grab 2 chips 50 times, like 50 bites.
Yeah, like Doritos. Like I could do 100 Doritos, right?
Yeah, I feel like I could. Yeah,
like give me like Cool Ranch. I'll pop out 100 Cool Ranch a couple minutes.
Are you a Cool Ranch over nacho cheese guy?
Yeah, Cool Ranch is elite, dude.
Yeah,
Cool Ranch is number one.
I'm just not a big ranch guy, to be honest with you, fellas.
It's a crazy thing to say.
I like nachos cheese, but like Cool Ranch is definitely like the.
Hold on, no, we're not gonna let him get away with that. Just to say, I'm not a big ranch guy.
Yeah, I think that like give me a sweet chili every day over ranch. Like I think ranch is great, but it's definitely overrated.
Are you talking about Doritos
good.
ranch or just?
No, he's
ranch
talking about in general.
Like just ranch dressing. Like it's good, but like I'm not like, oh my God, give me some ranch. I'll take it over blue cheese without a doubt. But there's definitely like times where it's like, yeah, I don't want ranch right now.
Wait, here's Johnny said ranch equals MSG. Is he mean Madison Square Garden? Or am I missing something else out?
What you said? Give me sweet chili. That's like give me a guadala. That's what that sounds
sweet
like.
Sweet chili's a great sauce. Let's not go there. It's got a
very
great
fine.
Yeah, so
I don't know, dude. Ranch is
ranch is goated.
Condiment.
Ranch is like not goated. I think ranch is given that goat narrative, but in my opinion, it's just your typical sauce.
It's good. By the way, I know we're getting off topic.
Marinara sauce better than ranch. Not even close.
Laner said sweet chili Doritos are better than the ranch ones, or they're the best. Which the purple bag, the best. I'll tell you guys what. You guys know this.
Sweet
I don't
chili.
Things, and for the longest, I loved the purple Doritos. Over the last 6 months, I did an experiment. They changed the recipe, and this is just my theory. They changed the recipe in the purple Doritos. They are so hot now, bro. They are like, dude, the purple Doritos, they took something out of the recipe. They're so hot. And I had multiple people in my life without me even asking. I would like have a purple bag or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, I had those last week, man. They are so hot." And then I had multiple people say it to me within like a week span, and I'm like, they did something to them. They changed them.
Yeah, that I
No.
don't mind the sweet chili Doritos. Hey, I'm not, but
Unreal,
to
dude.
just dismiss ranch.
You've been programmed your whole life. You've been eating ranch since
Oh,
you've
no.
been 3. You've been
This ain't like a-
programmed, hardwired.
No,
Once
this
you
ain't
come
the
out,
Matrix. You're not going
yeah,
here.
once you come out of the food matrix and you start trying actual flavored things instead of just ranch, I'll take ranch. Be like,
I'll
"No,
try
you know what?
I'll try different. Hey, I'll try different stuff. But ranch
Expand
is
your
up there.
horizons here. Ranch.
I
It's
do.
not just default ranch.
No.
You'll get marinara
Oh,
sauce. And what do you do with
no.
it, Jeff? What do you mix it with? Ranch. Why?
Klotz, ranch is come on.
It's good, but like we're acting like it's the Kareem or something.
It kind of is. It's like
I mean, the Dole Spoon.
it's
The
like
Dole
a John
Spoon says, Jeff,
Stockton.
think about it. He's from Ohio. I don't know if that. Hey, I'm just putting the comment up.
No, I'm with Jeff, dude. Calling ranch the John Stockton of sauces that's like the
why.
Michael Jordan or LeBron.
Is it a Hall of
sauces.
Fame? Yes, it's very
Dude,
solid. You know,
It's like one of the greatest of all
Not a lot
time.
of flash.
Yeah,
Not
it's
a
like
lot of
Kareem.
flavor.
This guy sounds like I don't even know.
Give
Hey,
me sweet chili every day of the week over. Give me Polynesian sauce.
Okay.
Polynesian sauce is so good.
Okay.
Polynesian is insanely good. I could put Polynesian on anything.
Yeah, Klotz, what you got something on your left, by the way. Hey, I want to show you guys the practice report for the Bills here.
I'm trying to figure out what MSG is that Trey's talking about. I keep thinking Madison Square Garden. I guess this is like something in foods that are addictive. I don't know. Interesting. Sorry. Let's keep this going. This is
all right. So the Bills,
Whoa!
they're calling in reinforcements.
What a list.
Yeah, a lot of guys, full practice. They're calling in the reinforcements.
Wow, that is a gigantic list.
Yeah, but to me, remember we talked about Leonidas yesterday? I think this is like Leonidas at the 300. Like this is the who they're facing. Like all these guys coming off like the injury report.
Persians.
Yeah.
Riding on the elephants.
It's like Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman. Like they're all coming out to fight the good fight. So like they're full practice. And I said this early in the week. I said on Monday when the Bills lost to the Rams. I'm like, they had a bunch of guys out. You bet your ass those guys are playing. Like they'll be back. They're resting them for this game.
There's so many guys, dude.
But yeah, Dalton Kincaid's gonna play. Keon Coleman's gonna play. Why not? I mean, hey, he gets to go against. He went to college at MSU. Gets to play against the Lions. That'll be exciting to see him. Hey, Carlton Davis, that's your matchup. Deal with him. All right.
Yeah.
Put that man in a body bag. Figure it out. But they're getting reinforcements back, fellas.
I mean they have this laundry list of players. They're all full practice. Whether they're going through stuff I feel like this is a game where it's like you can't miss this game. Like Jeff, was it you yesterday that brought up the point where it was like just sit some of these guys so they're ready for next week? Like that's what this week feels like, where it's like, hey, you this is the best. This is one of the biggest games of the year. You better be ready to go. Like Keon, rest last week versus the Rams. Lions, you better be ready. Same with Dalton Kincaid. Like those guys, like, hey, you better be ready to go. And the fact too, what I don't like, Matt Milano being back. I know he was back the last couple of weeks. That man is insane. He is so good. And the fact that he's back and now you have to deal with him, like this defense is. I think this defense is a lot better than what people think. So it is going to be a battle this week on Sunday for sure, especially offensively. I think they're going to be able to put up a lot of points still or a lot of yards at least. But I think it's going to be more of a battle than what we're expecting just because of who they have there. Which Rasul Douglas out is big, but potentially
same with Taylor Rapp too, because Taylor Rapp's been having a season. So kind of going back to your point of an offensive game, like outside of Matt Milano, I love Amari Cooper. Like I think Amari Cooper is great, but in Buffalo, he hasn't really found his step of being the Amari Cooper in Buffalo yet. I think he might eventually could. But Rasul Douglas and Taylor Rapp outside of Matt Milano were the best players on this injury list, and both those guys are out. And Rasul Douglas is a guy that they'd match up on J-Mo on the outside, or they could throw him on the inside and put him on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He bounces in and out a lot. So with him being out is huge, and Taylor Rapp is by far their most physical DB and their best safety. It's him and DeMar Hamlin, and there's a gap between those guys. And Taylor Rapp this year, he's not an all-pro caliber guy, but he was playing at a Pro Bowl level, and he's their enforcer in the secondary as far as setting the tone, big hits. Like if Amon-Ra's coming across the middle, Sam Laporta, any of those guys, like if Taylor Rapp hits him, good chance it's an incomplete pass, or now Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta need to blow the next play because they just got smacked and they got a stinger or something like that. The fact that he's out, especially in the run game too, huge possible outcomes for the Lions.
Those are 2 starting DBs. So that's something to watch. Taylor Rapp and Rasul Douglas. Like that'll be significant for the Lions.
I think tomorrow, if they're no practice, I would almost be like, hey, they're probably out. Just because it's like leading up to Friday.
And they're pretty significant. I mean, knee, neck, and shoulder. Like,
Rapp got messed up. I forget who he was trying to hit last week, but he just went too low and it messed up his neck.
So I would say he's not playing. I mean, just early guess right now, but could be without 2 DBs, which is good for the Detroit Lions. I will say that. And that's what comes back to my point. This Lions, they're going to be able to score points now. It's really, to me, it's up to the defense this week. Like, I think it's like, I am interested to see this defense up against a top tier quarterback. Not that they haven't faced any, because they faced some really good quarterbacks, but Josh is the best by far they've faced all year. I am curious. This is like a potential, like, what would it look like in a Super Bowl? I get they'll have more guys back. Completely understand that. But in terms of quarterback play, you're getting the MVP potentially. So to me, this is a good measuring stick for the defense. I know the injuries. I understand that. It's not fair to I'm not saying this game's like the Bible, but what I am saying is, like, you'll get to see this is what you'll deal with in the Super Bowl potentially.
I honestly, Jeff, love that, because we haven't thought about it, and I keep saying it the last 2 days, like, you get to finally go up against like a Super Bowl contender, which you haven't all year. But defensively, like, we've seen this defense in spots just be big, like make plays, make big plays. They're one of the best teams. This Lions defense is one of the best teams in third down, one of the best teams in the red zone. But guess what? Like, you haven't gone up against a Super Bowl contender yet. You haven't gone up against an MVP candidate yet. So this is going to be a measuring stick to where Klotz, I remember when Hutch went down, remember we had the conversation about, hey, what are they going to look like when they get to the Super Bowl? Because the NFC is kind of weak, but when you get to the Super Bowl, that's when the real team shows up. When you get Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, like those real players that you're like, okay, here we go. I think Sunday is a team where it's like, okay, this is we know the Lions are the best team in football. Guys, we did our power rankings. I think we all had the Bills at number 2, even after a loss, correct? Did anyone else not have the Bills at 2?
No, yeah, I think we all.
So
no, we all had the Bills.
I think we did. That's coming off a loss with the Rams. It's coming off a loss with the Rams. So, like, you're looking at the number 1 team in the NFL versus the number 2 team in the NFL. This is a measuring stick to see where this Lions team's at. As much as we're all like, and I think for me as well, guys, like, I think this Lions team's unbeatable right now. Like, the coaching staff, whether you have the players or not, like, without the players, you've seen this coaching staff put together schemes, everything, game plans to be able to win any football game. So I think they're the best team in football. But we have to see it versus a really, really, really good Super Bowl contending team. And you're going to find out really quick on Sunday. All right, how far is that measuring stick? Like, are we like here to the second team, or is it more so like we're almost on level playing fields? Like, you're going to find, like, this Sunday is going to show a lot on what this Detroit Lions team's about. Like, that measuring stick's going to, boys, here we go.
As Doc would say, as he's going to be on a little bit, the water's warm, Boone.
The water
is warm. The water's warm.
I don't think this is a bad thing, too. I don't want people to think as well, like, hey, they don't think the Lions are good. No, Lions, again, we all had them at number 1 in the power rankings. But you're going up against a top 5 team, which you haven't done all year. And you're going up against the number 2 team in the NFL, in our opinion. So you're going to find out quick, like, where do they match up?
It's our 1 and 2. It's our 1 and 2 matchup.
Yes.
Like, that's it's the best.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I
would rather figure out where you're at.
Excuse me, regular season.
Yes, I would rather figure out where you're at. How do you match up versus Super Bowl contending teams? I would rather figure that out now in the regular season than get into the playoffs and go into the Super Bowl and be like, first time we've had a match up against an elite team. Here we go.
Don't bring it up. Okay. All right.
Wheezy D. Darnold's MVP case equals Josh Allen. Vikings defense better than Bills defense. He's saying the Vikings are like they've already beat the Vikings, which is he thinks I would assume by this the better than the Bills.
Darnold's MVP case equals Josh Allen.
Like either even, which is
Oh, like the way that Darnold's playing right now
Yeah.
equals Josh Allen. Yeah, I agree, but
yeah.
I vehemently disagree.
That-
Sam
that-
Darnold, like I said, Sam Darnold is not a top 5 quarterback, but the way he is playing this year is at a top 5 quarterback level. But I would put him at like 5. Number 1, it's going to be close. Throw whoever you want, Burrow or Allen, that's fine. Whoever you want to put up there for this year, obviously Josh Allen, MVP-wise, is going to be better because he's winning games. But if you watch Joe Burrow, he's playing out of his mind. Sam Darnold is not that. He's not that. Very good, but he's not that. Like Ranch compared to a Polynesian.
No, Polynesian. It's like what's
Do you
the-
guys? I keep seeing these in
Trevor
the chat.
Lawrence.
Hey, do you guys get a feeling in the NFL? Let's just be honest. The NFL, does it feel like the NFL is down this year? Like
In what way? Like
more teams. Like I feel like right now, like typically you'll see like 7 to 8 teams that are like, hey, they actually have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like actually, like have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Not like a Pet Mahomes, like contending, but like, hey, these teams are. I just don't look at like the Vikings right now in the top 7. Like, do you guys really think the Vikings have a chance to win a Super Bowl? Genuinely? Like, I would be saying no. Like, when the playoffs come around, that's when things hit the water, like hit the fan, and you're like, oh, this is tough. Like, I think there's a lot of teams where they might be like the Eagles for like everyone in Philly thinks that they'll lose round 1. And that's the second team in the NFC right now.
I think
There's no depth in the NFL. It's
I
like
think
the
the
Lions,
game-
Chiefs, and Bills.
I think what's going on right now is the game is kind of in like a changing phase. I think we were in the stage of McVay, Shanahan, these offensive mind, and it's going to still stay an offensive league, but I think the style of offense, if you look at the teams who are really good, when you look at the Detroit Lions, what do? Run the ball. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, when they are really good, why is it? Because they're running the ball with Saquon Barkley. When you look at Josh Allen and the Bills, when do they look really good? When they have James Cook running for 2 touchdowns, Josh Allen's running for 2 touchdowns, Ray Davis is even finding one, or Ty Johnson. Kansas City Chiefs, what have they always been predicated on after they lost Tyreek Hill? Running the ball. And when they're having success in games and not just winning by 3 points, is because Kareem Hunt's been getting going. Or now that they have Pacheco getting back, he's been getting going. We've been in such a pass-happy league, and we got so used to the Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, to Travis Kelce's, Cooper Kupp winning a Triple Crown, Justin Jefferson. I just think the league now is kind of going back a little bit more to that old school mindset, because the number 1 team right now, Detroit Lions, they found a way to kind of dismantle all of that and keeping these offenses off the field so they're one-dimensional, and now they can't even choose to run the ball if they want to. So I think teams are starting to run the ball a little bit more and making that a little bit more of an importance than it has been in the past, in my opinion. I don't think the NFL's down. I just think quarterback numbers are down a little bit because running the ball is being more effective than normal.
I mean, you're seeing that with at least the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts' numbers, not great.
Yeah, I'd Saquon Barkley.
But I will say about the NFC, I think it throws us off a little bit because 3 teams that are going to win 10+ games and 3 of the top 5 teams in the NFC are in one division. So it looks.
Yeah.
But if let's say the Packers and Vikings were in different divisions, that means you'll have hypothetically, and you're looking at it like that, you have the Lions, Vikings, Packers, Eagles. They're going to have 4 10+ win teams, and then the 49ers and Cowboys. They've had. I mean, Dak's out obviously. So like they stink, but my point being is usually they're the fraud team that wins like 13 games or something like that. So I think of the 49ers having injuries. Like I don't know. The NFC is just kind of weak. We kind of know that. But I think it doesn't help that 3 of the better teams are in one division. So it does look that way. Like it's like, damn, the NFC North is producing 3 of the top 4 teams.
Which is tough, but like again,
yeah.
Do you guys believe the Vikings and Packers are Super Bowl contenders? Like they have a chance to, like if they get in the playoffs, like could you see both of those teams making? I mean, you could
There'd
maybe
have to
say
be
that,
like a shakeup. Like Lions or Eagles have to be bounced early, if not both of them.
and I don't think either of those teams can knock off the Lions or the Eagles. I mean, personally, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I typically
think,
in the past, there's a couple teams where you could be like, yeah, they could make a run.
yeah, To me, I don't know. I don't think the Vikings will win it, but I think any of those teams could any of those teams can make it, just because the benefit they have is they'll face the Lions, which they're both those teams are so familiar with. I think the Lions would still win, but at least you have that. They have that going for them. It's like a divisional game, I guess, if the Eagles drop early or whatever. But yeah, like if the Vikings make the Super Bowl, let's say hypothetically, in a hypothetical world, beat the Lions and face the Bills, like Bills would be favored by 5.5, whatever the number would be.
Yeah.
Like everyone would be looking at the Bills. So I don't think the Packers, I guess I like them a little better because I think their defense, they have better personnel on defense, but I like Kevin O'Connell as a head coach too. I think he's an excellent head coach. So that's kind of part of it as well. Like I think the NFC, it's not as good as the AFC. People typically will throw that out there, but they still got some good teams. I mean, the NFC North producing 3 pretty good teams. Like I do respect the Vikings, even though I think they're partial frauds. Like they're winning games. Kevin O'Connell's an excellent head coach. So I mean, you can't really knock them too much.
Maybe we are sleeping on the Vikings. Maybe week 18 comes wrong. Maybe I need to take a step back before we even get to week 18. Honestly.
I just think there's no way that, in my opinion, that Sam Darnold's able to manufacture a Super Bowl run, even with the pieces around him. Like I would find it incredibly hard to get through the NFC, even though it is weaker, when that's your first ever playoff action at this point in his career. It's not like he's a rookie. It will benefit him that he's been on the 49ers, who are making a playoff run last year, but playoff football is just a completely different type of season compared to the regular season. I think when you look at Jordan Love, yeah, he's not playing like he was last year, but I think he learned a lot from the playoff experience he did have last season with throwing the late pick against San Francisco. So when I look at that just alone, LaFleur, even as a coach, doesn't perform, or not LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell doesn't perform well in the playoffs so far. So I think together they're having a little bit growing to do. When I look at LaFleur and Jordan Love, I think they have a better chance. I know both you guys still agree, but I don't view the Vikings as a Super Bowl contender. Could they kind of upset a Lions in the wild card, or not the wild card, but the Eagles in the wild card, something like that? I could see them doing that, but after that, I think they would drop.
Can I play a video real quick for the boys?
You can?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to play this because this directly goes with what we're talking about. I should have thought about this earlier. Amon-Ra St. on his podcast, his brother asked him, who would you rather play in the playoffs? Would you rather play the Vikings or the Vikings? Packers. Or Viking. Yeah, who did I say?
Said Vikings or the Vikings.
Oh, whoa! What a mix-up that was, huh? How about that? All right, Vikings or the Packers. All right, here's him on that.
Who would you rather play in playoffs, Packers or Vikings?
Well, we haven't played the Vikings the second time yet, but I would probably say the Vikings.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just
both. Bro, playing a division team in the playoffs it gets nutty. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen. But
who would you rather play?
I mean, let's also look at it like this. He wanted to say. I mean. He wanted to say the Vikings. Oh, let's get this, change this up. All right, he wants to play the Vikings. Okay, I think his phrase. Well, we haven't played the Vikings twice. You will. All right,
Yeah.
That's not. You know why he wants to play the Vikings? Because he had a $112 against them early in the year. Okay, he had a $112, and against the Packers, he's never really. Even though I was calling my shot there, big Amon-Ra game. They do a good job of kind of keeping him not having massive games.
Yeah.
Vikings, he always gives them work.
Yeah.
So for him, it's let's play the Vikings.
To be honest,
it's offense against them.
do you remember going to the Vikings game? It was the whole storyline, Brian Flores, Ben Johnson. They were trying to make it a thing. All national media was Brian Flores, the best DC in the game versus Ben Johnson, the best. Ben Johnson put up 30 plus on him.
Yeah.
Like nothing. It was why was this even a conversation? That's where I'm I think with Amon-Ra, it's people think that why are they 11-1 or 11-2? There's no, he was we'll beat them. That's where I think his mind goes to. It's just we dominate that defense. We dominated that defense.
Yeah, honestly, from my experience on Twitter, see you guys, and I'll check around. I'll check into different fan bases. A lot of Vikings Twitter. I know Packers Twitter was rough last week after the Lions game. Vikings Twitter, don't sleep on how cringe they are as well.
Vikings Twitter is worse than
Worse.
Packers Twitter.
Yes.
Like Vikings fans they're like Packers fans are annoying. Vikings fans are like clinically like there's something wrong. Like there's a wire loose. At least a majority of them. There's a couple of them that I can stand, but when you really get into the depths of Vikings Twitter, it's insanity. Like,
Dude,
it's
not even just Twitter, on Instagram, every single. I think I've showed you, Jeff. Like some of the I get so many comments on the Kool-Aid videos. 10% of them, and I know 10% is not a lot, but when I say 10% on every Kool-Aid, I've done 13 this year or whatever the number is.
Yeah,
everyone, 10% of the comments. It could have been the Rams game, the Bucks game. They're Vikings fans. Like, and it's like, what are you guys doing here? Like, I'll take all the views, but
they want the smoke.
Man. Every week, it's just Vikings fans in the comments of the Kool-Aid videos, and it's on Instagram. And you know who got a hold of the ones this week, actually? Because I said something, Klotz, you record them. I called out, hey, people think Booner's Josh Allen. Called out Josh Allen and the Bills. A lot of Bills fans in this last one. It blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of Bills fans were just attacking me.
I love
Which
that.
is fun. I love it. I love getting into different fan bases.
Yeah, and this
awesome.
is why when fans join our show, number one, we want to grow. So it's always welcome. Like that's why I tell the mods, don't ban opposing fans.
Cook them.
Just cook them. I mean, and if you don't like them, then block them. Find a way to block them. But I think sports is meant to be this way. I enjoy these types of like the banter. It's fun. Like we're in our own little bubble because we're Lions fans. But I like chirping. It's fun. They want to join and talk shit. Go ahead. You know they'll play in a couple of weeks. I ain't worried about it. Let's bring on the special guest of the show. Man that he very good articles.
Very good.
Very fine.
One of them. I read every single one of them, all the way dating back to the moment he started he was the publisher, first day as the publisher. All jokes aside, the legend, John Maakaron, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Check him out. He should be your number one go-to for all Lions stuff. Joins us every single Wednesday. Brought to you guys as always by BetUS. Please welcome to the show, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how you doing?
Man. What's up, fellas? So, Jeff, right away then, what was your favorite story from today? Because I know one that definitely blew up that I'm like, wow.
He's looking it up right now.
I'm not looking at it. No, but I will say, here comes the teacher's pet. Go ahead, Booner.
Do you have one, Jeff?
No, I'll let the teacher's pet go.
Can I ask the question then? My first question is about one of his articles.
You bring him an apple? You bring him an apple?
All right. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, Jeff, you know what? I'm not gonna apologize for being good at my job. You know what? I'm not gonna apologize for being good at my job over here. Doc, I want to ask you this. My favorite article of the day was actually the recent one that you put out. And I think it was is it Christopher?
Christian.
All right. You know the name. I'm sorry.
You know
Christian? I read the article, not the author.
You shouldn't have said anything, Boone.
Yeah.
I read the article. I'm trying to give props to the people who write these articles too, because it's not just the dog. He's got a good team over there. He wrote an article in a piece today about Kelvin Shepherd and becoming the DC. Doc, I want you to break that down for the people here, and obviously we want them to go to the website. But can you break down this Kelvin Shepherd defensive coordinator situation? Does it look like he's going to become the DC? If Aaron Glenn does get a job, what does that look like? Great article, Doc. By Christian.
Thank you. It was put together by me because I saw that Kelvin Shepherd was going to be talking today. So that was an easy story to put together in that he's a leading candidate potentially to replace Aaron Glenn. Now, here's the dilemma. If Aaron Glenn leaves Detroit, Kelvin could also leave with Aaron Glenn. So that's going to be something to monitor as this offseason progresses, because he's somebody now that has worked under Aaron Glenn and understands how to relate to players, a former player himself, and has now learned and really utilized all the skills that have been taught to him by Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn. So he's a rising coaching candidate. And clearly you can see that the linebackers unit has benefited from Coach Kelvin Shepherd being there with Jack Campbell, and now all the new pieces that are there. So when I was the one who asked him, like, hey, are you ready to handle it? Because, typically when he does talk on Fridays or at different times, I'm typically maybe not there or not having availability to speak to him. So it might have been my only chance to ask him that question. So I asked him, I said directly, hey, are you ready? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready. He divulged, and he's always been honest. He's every time Kelvin Shepherd speaks, you guys should all listen because he's very much motivational. And he's somebody that has, I think, been an asset for this defense. And look, he relates well to the players. No nonsense, very serious. You guys see when you go out to training camp, when you watch, you see the coaching and how that all goes down. Watch Coach Kelvin Shepherd. He's very passionate about what he does. And I talked to several players, Jamal Adams, Jack Campbell, Ezekiel Turner, just saying, hey, why is he ready? He's like, hey, he's put the standard, and the line pretty much of the day was the standard is the standard, and there's no variation. So anybody that walks into the linebackers room, even if you're Jamal Adams, even if you're Quan Alexander, you have to understand that there's a standard set by the Detroit Lions and their coaching staff. And I do believe that from what I saw, that Kelvin Shepherd, I think, would do a great job wherever he lands, whether it be in Detroit or somewhere else. The problem is I'm biased in that I think Kelvin Shepherd would do a great job. But I truly, in my heart of hearts, can't lie to you guys. I think Robert Saleh would do a phenomenal, absolutely tremendous fucking job,
Wow.
and would
What a turn.
have this Detroit Lions defense the number one defense in the league for many years. But again, I'm biased. So I think Kelvin Shepherd would do a great job. Maybe you get a little bit of a fallback while he learns and adjusts with calls. But at the same token, I wonder if you have a Robert Saleh out there and you lose Kelvin Shepherd and Aaron Glenn, I hope that the call can potentially be made for Robert Saleh because his defensive lines are ferocious. I think Terrion Arnold would flourish to be even better than Sauce Gardner. So I just can't speak highly enough of Robert Saleh.
I mean, Doc, it's a fair take. I mean, Robert Saleh as a DC, I see they were putting out some pictures of Robert Saleh with the Matt LaFleur helping the Packers a little bit, and people are like, damn, Robert Saleh is an excellent coach, defensive coach. But I want to ask you, speaking of the defense, DJ Reader didn't practice. Other guys limited. Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. What's kind of your early feel on DJ Reader? I talked about it. We talked about it earlier. I think there's in my opinion, I think he will play. I think this is more like DJ's a veteran. He can miss a day of practice or so and still be able to play. But enough of my opinion. What do you think, Doc? What's your feeling? What's your gut feeling on this thing?
Yeah, Dan Campbell said he believes that DJ Reader will return on Thursday. So that's going to be a key day to see about the players that return. And I think that I agree with you. I think DJ Reader clearly, Broderick Martin, you guys had asked what you're expecting to see. Dan Campbell indicated, and you kind of tell by the film, there were some good things he did, but there were some things that not so good in terms of leverage and things like that. You saw that one drive where the Packers ran the ball and stuffed it down the Lions' throat, just running the football. So look, Broderick Martin, I think, is somebody that's capable, but he's still developing. He's not DJ Reader. Your comfort level goes way up when you have a veteran of his caliber there next to hopefully Aleem McNeil. But it's good news, guys. The Lions are getting healthier. I think the vacation did well for everybody. I think I'm glowing too. I'm relaxed. I had a good time just watching football, watched the best, I thought, game potential of the year with the Rams and the Bills. I enjoyed that thoroughly. I just thought that the break did everybody well. I think everybody had extra pep in their step. And so because of that, Dan Campbell today on Wednesday, he ran a padded practice. So he's like, get back at it, boys. Let's get after it. And the practice was intense. And this Lions football team definitely is aware of who's coming to town. And you guys will clearly, and everybody wants to have the healthiest football team possible. And I think DJ Reader's, along with Taylor Decker, will be great additions to get back.
Love it.
Yeah, somebody who was kind of dealing with an injury a couple of weeks ago and now is playing really good football is Carlton Davis, Doc. And we had the conversation yesterday regarding in the offseason, do you bring Carlton Davis back, yes or no? And if so, what does that deal look like? So when you, obviously being in Allen Park, get to talk to these guys one-on-one, when you hear that Carlton Davis, contract talks, do you think they should bring him back? And if so, what do you think that deal would look like if they were to do that?
That's a great question. I haven't looked into too much into contract of what he'd be worth, but I like the deal that he's got now in terms of 1 year. Would he take another 1 year deal? Here's a situation that is a little bit difficult in that he does have that injury history. He is playing well. I think he should come back. I think he's a player that has, I think, solidified and you have two cornerbacks that are playing press man coverage at a high clip. You got, I believe, Terry Arnold 1, and I think it's Carlton Davis 2. So it's finally a defense that, that a secondary that this Detroit Lions football team can deploy that gives Aaron Glenn the most comfort. So I like what he does, but at the same token, he does have the situation of the injuries and things like that. I like what he's done, neighborhood of 2 years, 25 million, 26 million in that neighborhood. You'd like to see a little bit more interceptions, but man, he plays at such a great, I wonder, what kind of offers he'll also receive from others. But I do think that when you see what he can bring to this football team, the question mark is going to be, if Aaron Glenn leaves, what kind of defense would somebody else run? Does they want to do, because that's a question mark that we don't know right now. So that makes it a little bit tougher. I would assume that, Kelvin Shepherd would want to run a very similar defensive scheme as Aaron Glenn, but he may want to have his own wrinkles. He may want to see a little bit more about Rakestraw or another draft pick or, another opportunity for somebody else as well. So it'll be, time will tell. I think this month will be key for Carlton Davis, but man, he's been an addition. You know what I like about him too? He's got a swagger.
Yeah.
He does not like hearing the opponents talk about, we're going to come to Detroit and throw the football. He was he had a great presser. Go check it out. I was standing right, it was unique because Tyrion was talking, and I wish you guys could have seen it. I had both arms out like this. One recorder talking to Tyrion, and the other talking to Carlton Davis as he's like, I can't believe I can't believe Jordan Love is going to talk about that shit coming in here and throw for 400 yards. Did you see what they did? And he's got the hood on too, the mask. So
yeah.
It was a good look. And I like his swagger. I like the way he presents himself, but more importantly, he does the talking on the field. And he's been a great addition this year, a great trade. And remember, Lions traded for him.
Well, speaking of another addition, Jamal, by the way, got to see a little bit of Jamal in a small sample size, Jamal Adams. And I want your thoughts on kind of what you thought you saw out of Jamal, just kind of your thoughts on how he played and kind of what you foresee happening with him this week. I know they said they're all going to get a little more run now that they're kind of getting now a second week into the system. But what'd you think about the Jamal Adams debut, Doc?
Yeah, I thought it was fair. Look, played less than 15 snaps. So you look at it and you say, okay, it's not the Jamal Adams of the past, but he can still do some things. Still, clearly not as fast as he was. This is not peak Jamal Adams, but I talked to him today. And look, you realize, okay, step one for the new players was just get out there and be able to listen to the call, know what you're hearing, and go and execute. Now, with another week in the system and understanding, now you can actually get into a little bit more advanced stuff in regards to shifting and motioning and being where you need to be at different spots and maybe have more of an opportunity. I think that's why Quan got a little bit more run. So I like Jamal Adams. I like what he can do. I like what he can do with pressure. But at the same token, you recognize this is somebody that, needs just a little bit more time in the system because it's intricate. So I thought that, look, collectively, the Detroit Lions defense did the best that they were able to do given the circumstances against the Packers. And like we said last week, we hoped that the offense was going to be able to carry the day, and they did. And the defense did just enough. And I just thought that in speaking to him, you could get a sense that, you get further reminded that when teams look for guys, they look for guys from schools that are similar. I think Jamal Adams went to LSU because he shouted out. Yeah, he went to LSU. He shouted out Calvin Shepherd, who went to LSU. So there were times where you're like, man, these coaches, when they're digging deep, they look for ties in any way possible with familiarity. And Jamal Adams was very grateful that Calvin Shepherd gave him the opportunity and is now part of this football team. And all you can expect is, hey, nice depth player that can be out there and help out this defense. But man, I thought Jack Campbell did himself a solid. And then also too, credit to Ezekiel Turner for that late tackle that he made. I talked to him about that as well today. And I think I asked him, maybe a teaser for you guys for tomorrow. Maybe Jeff will read it. I asked him about the play that he made against Jordan Love to kind of take me through it. And he kind of got geeky a little bit and took me through it. So hopefully I get to type that up, and that will be on Lions on SI tomorrow. With this linebacking crew, with what they got, man, give them credit for what they were able to do. So I'd give his performance, if it was up to me, a solid B.
Doc, hey, I'll make sure I send that article to Jeff once it drops.
Yes, thank you.
I'll make sure.
I like the pipeline, Booner. Article goes up, you get the notification, text it to Jeff.
Yeah, I'll make sure that happens. I do want to ask you too, because we haven't talked to you honestly since this Packers game went down. And one of the big things out of that game was the Dan Campbell 4th downs, 4 for 5. But obviously he had the 4th down conversion to end the game essentially. And then I think the more, at least the one that I questioned the most in time, like during the game, was that third quarter one where they had the ball at the 30 at their own 30 and they're backed up. And they go for it and essentially give them free points. What are your thoughts on these 4th downs? I honestly, I came around a little bit, Doc. I was like, hey, I'm all in on Dan doing it because he's done it forever. That's what makes them the Detroit Lions, is going for it. The only problem I had was that third quarter one. I said it before it happened, so it wasn't that they didn't get it. It was just at the 30-yard line, you're winning the football game. I was a little like, okay, if you're winning the game, you probably don't have to do that. What are your thoughts on all of them as a whole, as well?
Yeah, it was crazy to see Dan get criticized for it, because people, were clearly, they get upset and frazzled and a little bit, it's tough for people to see the Detroit Lions going for it on their own side of the field. Like, man, it's difficult, and they didn't convert it. And Jared checked to a play from the look that he saw to a play that just was atrocious, and it didn't work out. But 4 of 5. So how do you critique someone that clearly tells you we're going for it? We are an offense that has all this talent. Analytics tell you most of the time that Dan Campbell is analytically correct, and they execute. Well, here's why. And we've talked about it. I've talked about it on Doc and Jock and in the Lone Wolves podcast. Dan Campbell went for it in the ultra-most spot where people saw it and they didn't execute. But it wasn't his fault. NFC Championship game, he goes for it, does not take the 3 points. Well, guess what happened? His players let him down. And so Josh Reynolds not here anymore, dropped the football. And there were other mistakes as well. The fumble from Gibbs and the Vildor craziness that happened. So Dan Campbell is blamed by some for that. You didn't take the points. So that's on him. But Dan Campbell doesn't care. He does not care, because his mentor, Sean Payton, remember, guys, and it could happen, and I'll get your sense of it. Could you imagine if Dan Campbell called for an onside kick in the Super Bowl? His mentor did.
God.
His mentor did it.
Yeah.
And Dan has the cojones. He's got the barrels to do what he's got to do. But in the end, here's the part that you guys got to be nervous about. It's probably going to happen again in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl. Dan's going to go for it. So get ready. But remember, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword potentially as well. So if it happens, you can't cry about it, because you know it's coming and you got to deal with it. If you're somebody that supports it, then you can't complain about it if it flops. Now, here's my opinion. I am me personally, more of a conservative, hey, kick field goals. But, I was of the opinion that, and it would have happened this year had the defense not collapsed with all these injuries. I would have said, I want to build a defense that I can sleep well at night and trust, so that when there's 40 seconds left, I kick the ball. And I know Jordan Love's getting rocked by Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil and, Marcus Davenport. And I know I can sleep easy. So I wanted to develop a defense that you could trust and see. And I said that on the Lone Wolves podcast, that I'm not of the opinion all the time that, oh my God, if you trust the defense, they're going to flop all the time. You got Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. You got, people are nervous. Like, I have a little bit more trust in the defense, that I thought the defense could have maybe had a signature moment where, Jordan Love's forced to throw the ball. Maybe Brian Branch gets a pick six, and now you got all this momentum for the defense. You haven't given them that chance just yet to do that. So I'm fascinated by that approach. Look, he's doing it. He's changing the game. You can't knock it. It's successful. But at the same token, I just don't believe he'd keep doing it if he had if he had the 13 players back. I just can't believe that he would go for it 4 or 5 times. But he's doing it. He's telling you he's doing it. And guess what, guys? He don't care if someone like me is going to write about it. He don't care if the whole wide world calls him a buffoon for doing it. He has a plan. He sticks with it. You got to respect him for it. So get used to it. Get ready, guys.
I'm all in, Doc.
4th and 3, down 4 in the Super Bowl on their own 47, baby. It's coming. Let's see what they do, baby. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's
Let's
gonna
go.
be.
My heart will be out of my
interesting.
chest. I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna sit like this. I'm gonna be like, oh fuck, what the hell is gonna happen here? Please let Amon-Ra get this football. Please go to 14. That's the only guy. You know what I mean? Imagine if he runs it. Imagine if he calls it 4th and 3 a running play. Okay, if it's a running play, it better be behind Penei Sewell.
Yep.
You know where that ball's going, Doc. It
St.
ain't going to
Brown.
Amon-Ra. It
Amon-Ra
ain't
all
going to
day.
JMO. It's going to Tim Patrick, TP17. But looking into the wide receiver group now for the Bills, they're getting Keon Coleman back. It looks like Dalton Kincaid will be coming back. I know he's a tight end, but he's still a prominent receiver in that offense. Khalil Shakir, very reliable, and Amari Cooper. You also look, James Cook is there. And the last time that he only rushed for 20 yards, the next week they matched up against San Francisco 49ers. He had over 100 total rushing yards, averaging 7.6 yards per carry, and did well in the receiving game. When you look at it, how this Detroit Lions defense is banged up right now, does the Bills offense on the ground worry you more, or through the air with Josh Allen and these 3 wide receivers, including Dalton Kincaid? Which one do you think will be more of a threat to the Lions this week?
Yeah, no, I think that I asked Dan Campbell today about Cook, and you do see that the Bills, and this was interesting too, because I wonder if we're all viewing this game wrong. Does it be a grinded out kind of game where both teams are knowing that the other's offense is legit? So they try to slow it down and run and control the clock a little bit more, not as much run and gun. We'll see. But no, you clearly are concerned more about the passing game. And that should be the Bills' approach this week, because the Lions are so stout against the run. They like to clog the middle. They run downhill. They're pressuring at a high rate. They're blitzing. So they're clogging that middle, and they're making it so that, and Dan basically told me, he's like, number one goal is to make the Bills one-dimensional. And Josh Allen, if he gets into rhythm, that's the stuff that's dangerous. So the number one concern I have on the ground is Josh Allen running the football. You saw the juke move that he made against the Rams. You're like, wow, the speed and ability and talent of Josh Allen. The Lions coaching staff called him a freak today. And that's just what kind of athleticism he brings to the table. Shakir, I think that the Lions, with his size, I think you got to make sure that you secure him in space and don't let him get the yards after the catch. I just like the Lions' overall defensive philosophy. They can give up yards galore, but clamp down in the red zone, and you just make sure that if someone gets a catch, you go and nail them and pop them so that the yards after the catch numbers are low. And just like every week, tackling is super important this week. And I think that James Cook probably will not light up the stat sheet against the Lions. Kincaid and Shakir definitely are going to get some targets this week.
Yeah, Doc, I'm with you on it's going to be a quarterback game. And speaking of that, MVP race, Jared Goff, Josh Allen leads it, coming off 6 touchdowns. What do you think this game could do? And I'll even ask you this: who has the most to gain from this game specifically? Is it Josh kind of sealing the MVP, or is it Jared beating Josh, balling out, and what that could do for his MVP case?
No, I just think that right now, from what you saw last week, Josh Allen's kind of rising in the conversation. So I think Jared Goff has more to prove in regards to, in the eyes of the national media. We all know what Jared Goff brings to the table, the proficiency that he has, the way he's executing. But if he has a great performance against the Bills in what's being billed as a Super Bowl preview, that can do wonders, because many people are definitely looking to this as and it was asked today. Jared got asked and Dan Campbell got asked about this as kind of a narrative, being that
we knew what Goff would say. All right. That dude he's bland. I love him, but
Goff is like, it's not important. I don't have self goals like that. Our goal is to win the trophy. And of course, same thing. And Dan asked, like, who votes for it? And I think one of the reporters is an MVP voter. But in the end, it's a media poll, and it's one of those deals that typically goes to, you know, the media darling that is, you know, playing well. And that's nowadays is Lamar Jackson, and you realize Josh Allen's in that conversation. Patrick Mahomes always is a media darling and gets a lot of attention. But I do think Jared Goff's in the conversation, and that's all you can ask for. For Jared Goff, it's more of the same. You make sure you spread the football around and make sure you just limit the turnovers, because he's been like, remember, in the times where he doesn't play well, the turnovers and the dropping of the football, you want to make sure that if the Bills are going to send pressure, that you get the football out quickly and you make sure that you have those answers when the blitz comes.
Hey, Doc, I spoke about it a couple before you hopped on, a couple segments before you hopped on. Again, just kind of as this matchup as a whole, the Bills-Lions matchup, we all had them here on our show as 1 and 2 in the NFL power rankings. And you're going into this matchup. It's probably the best team that the Lions will see all year until they get to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship game. How do you think, because what I brought up, Doc, is you're going to finally realize and see where the Lions measure up to these other contending teams, because this is the first contending team that we've seen the Lions up against. How do you think they're going to kind of match up against them, and do you think it's going to be a little closer than what fans and people around the NFL think, just because we haven't seen the Lions versus like another Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, well, I know not in the eyes of a lot of fans, but remember, the Vikings only have 2 losses, and they're playing extremely well. Most people don't.
Super Bowl contender, Doc. Come on now.
I know they're not Super Bowl contenders, but remember, they're neck and neck with the Lions. And if Sam Darnold, similarly, if he executes with, you know, finally Jefferson gets off the schneid after 2 months, and Addison, and their running game. So, and they got that defense with the defensive coordinator. So I do think that I'm looking forward to the Vikings game as well. But you're absolutely right. The last quarter of the season, the Bills game is a true test, right? And it's a test of what you could get in the Super Bowl, whether it be against Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. So we all in the media were joking, like, was any I should have did it, but I've already done it. We wanted to ask Calvin Shepard or Dan Campbell about the QB spy, like, would they do it? But in the end, look, this football
gonna do that again, Doc. Remember that last time?
Yeah. They don't like the QB spy philosophy talk. We got the message. So nobody poked the bear this week. We still got tomorrow, though. We'll see if anybody tries to ask Aaron Glenn about QB spying Josh Allen. But look, I think that's great. I think that's what it should be looked at, is like, hey, where do you stack up against a team that is playing well, it's coming off of a loss, that has talent across the board? But I do think that if you stop Josh Allen, you can do a lot of great things against the Buffalo Bills. And here's the thing too, their coach kind of is in that kind of same mold of, he's a good coach, but at the same time, his clock management sometimes is questioned. Decision-making at times is always something that's always of an issue with the Buffalo Bills and their coaching staff. So it's always good to go up against these good teams and to go up against these great quarterbacks. And I do think that what people want to see is, hey, you know, they don't want to see Josh Allen running for 100 yards early on, and they don't want him to dominate the game. They want to see that the Lions are going to compete and make the plays, because, the AFC, I think there's maybe one other team that people are really concerned about to this degree. It's the Bills and probably the Ravens. I think people are discounting a little bit the aura and the performance of the Chiefs. The Chiefs is one of those deals where on paper they just look like a team that the Lions just across the board are better than, but they just have the champions mentality where they just figure out a way to win, and you can't discount it. I probably would prefer to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl of the AFC teams, but if this is a Super Bowl preview, might as well get as much intel as humanly possible about where you stand. But I think the Lions are right there. And with a team that can score points, if the Lions clean up some of the issues in the red zone, I think that this game can be one in which a couple, I think Josh Allen's going to throw a pick six. I think he's a gunslinger, and gunslingers take risks. And I think this is one of those games where, with the Lions getting that extra rest, maybe it's the guy that Lucas talked about, maybe Carlton Davis with a nice pick six this week. Hammer the over, baby.
I
love
love
that.
me a Carlton Davis pick, but I would love even more a Kirby Joseph interception. He's kind of been on a little bit of a drought for his standards, so I'd love to see him get more incorporated. Somebody else stock I'd love to see get more incorporated. I shouldn't say more incorporated, but he kind of had a down week last week. That's Jahmyr Gibbs and that's David Montgomery. Both were solid, but when you look at the performances throughout the year prior to that, there's been much better performances. Do you think this week against Buffalo, we're going to see kind of the typical Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery dominant performance that we kind of missed out on last week against Green Bay?
Yeah, that Green Bay game was unique when you looked at it. Green Bay came to play, and that whole game was like tension filled beforehand with the fans and Kirby and everybody. And the Packers came to deliver and do some things. And clearly every team wants to make the other team one-dimensional. But yeah, I do think that clearly the factor that everybody's going to like to see is hopefully Taylor Decker returns. When you have a healthy offensive line, this football team will do some things. And I love I actually, me and Christian debated a little bit and said, you got these two weapons in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Why not just play them together more? But you realize when we talk to Scotty Montgomery and the philosophy of, having these two distinctly different running backs allows them both to be fresh. And I think for the next couple of years, this tandem can be successful at a very high rate because they're going to be fresh and they do things just, every other series and sometimes in the mix too when there's a hot hand. So I love the duo. I just think that they're a pleasure to watch. They're clearly taking advantage of a great offensive line. And this week, to me, I like David Montgomery in the red zone, but something tells me that in a big moment, big stage, the engine thrives with Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think he breaks one.
Sure. Love it, Doc.
Yeah, Jahmyr. And another player that it's been steadily improving. I know Dan talked about it. Played really well. It played well last week. Terran Arnold. What has been, because I know the Lions right now, Doc, are number one in the league in pass interference calls, and they're like lowest in the league or one of the lowest in pass interference calls for them against opponents. What do you make of like the pass interference, saga, or like the, I guess, how much it's been happening? Because I think Terran might have a majority of those. But what do you think of him, his improvement, and also the pass interference penalties piling up for the team, not just him?
Yeah. No, look, here's the deal. I think that, clearly when you're a football team that brags about wanting to be physical and violent and you're openly saying, hey, we're coming out to hit you. Dan Campbell said to the officials before the Bears game, hey, if Caleb Williams was tiptoeing the sidelines, we're hitting him. So there's no nonsense. This football team is going to play physical. You would have liked for Terrion to turn his head a little bit faster on the end zone one. Look, he's still a rookie. He's been thrown into the fire. That's just how it is, playing press man at the NFL level against world-class offenses and great receivers. And here's the deal. They keep getting called. So the Lions, what makes them different than in years past? And we all have to, and myself included, have to get out of the mindset of a flag is a complete disaster. You remember with the map, I think we've all, and myself included, if you hearken back to the name that we all hate, Big Matt Patricia, who's trying to now, talk in the media.
Huh.
He was a defensive guru who couldn't coach defense. And it was bend and break and be a sieve and give up points and blow leads and never execute and talk more about we need to execute better and then following it over week after week after week. And I go back and sometimes listen and read some of the stuff I wrote. It was all the same stuff. Lions would play decently until the fourth quarter, and then they'd fall apart. This is completely different. The Lions can make a mistake. The Lions can have issues. The Lions can have 18 dudes on IR, and they're winning. So when you look at it from that perspective, hey, Aaron Glenn has these guys playing physical. You get flagged, you get flagged. Next play. Focus on that, making the tackle, making sure that you get the pressure or win your battle the next play. And what's a blessing is Lions make a big fuck up. The next play is solid, and they come back. And number one thing is they do enough and execute at the right time when needed to be able to win games. It's winning football. So it's bend, don't break. They're great in the red zone. They are opportunistic when needed. And I think we're at the point now where you say, play your game. Let the officials figure it out. If they call a flag, fine. The Lions will figure out a way with the talent that they have at linebacker and in safety and the defensive line, and hopefully with guys coming back, they'll figure out a way to overcome those things. But you hope that in the last quarter of the season and in the postseason, that Turian Arnold continues to make, continues to grow. And when it happens, look out, then the turnovers will start.
Yeah, just kind of going off of that too, Doc, just looking at the season as a whole now going forward, the 4 weeks left of the season, haven't locked up the 1 seed and have not been able to lock up the division yet, obviously because the Vikings only have the 2 losses, the Eagles 2 losses. We got asked this yesterday in our mailbag. I thought it was an interesting question, and I kind of struggled to answer it. So I'm just going to throw this on you, Doc. What week do you think that this Lions team is going to be able to potentially lock up the division and then also the 1 seed? Because it feels like kind of how I brought it up yesterday, like this week, obviously you cannot do it statistically. And then next week, I'm guessing it's going to be tougher. I almost just wanted to be like, hey, there's a chance this comes down to week 18. When do you see this team doing that? And do you think it actually does come down to week 18?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that your chat asked. And it's interesting, right? The Vikings and Eagles keep winning. You would have hoped, as we're all sitting on the couch enjoying football with the Lions not playing, one of them would have lost. But, you recognize that shit happens, and it's actually good for the Lions to stay focused and having to win. I do think it's going to happen probably, ideally, hopefully, maybe it's the week of the 49ers game, and you get to start the new year as because I want that. For me, I'm selfish. I want those questions of like, hey, Dan, who gets rested? Who doesn't get rested? Do you do the rest thing ahead of the postseason? So I hope that they're able to clinch the bye week after the 49ers game, because then we can see finally what Dan's philosophy is in terms of resting players when you have a week off looking at you and staring at you in the face. So it's going to be probably, week 17, week 18 that the Lions hopefully clinch the 1 seed. But nothing better than a season finale against the Vikings. You ruin their season because Byron Murphy keeps spouting off at I don't understand why. Listen, I'm free advice from the doc. If you're the Packers and you're the Vikings, keep the Lions name out your mouth. Follow the plan of Tucker Kraft. He opened his mouth, and I guess, and sorry if I keep cussing, but I'm in a good mood. He fucked around and found out. Don't talk about putting your hands on the Detroit Lions, because guess what they're going to do? They're going to find you pregame, and they're going to talk to you and say, oh, you want to put your hands on me? All right, I'm right here staring at you in the face. What are you going to do? And Tucker Kraft looked like a guy that was like, never seen somebody chirp back at him. And so if you go and watch now Tucker Kraft's last media session that he did this week. He's like, guys, I'm never talking about an opponent. I just want to talk about us, because he was probably shell-shocked that Kirby Joseph went ape shit on him. And he was like, let's go. You want to put your hands on me? I'm right here. I'm Kirby Joseph. What are you going to do about it? And he did nothing. So that was, that whole video was great too, with just him walking like, guy, I'm just trying to get off the practice field here before we get into the game. And Kirby's ready to bark his head off. So, and also too, side note, did you guys notice NFL Prime Video took that shit down? I was like, why would you take it down? Half the world, I said on the podcast, you got 3 minutes, basically. If you post something, you got like 3 to 4 minutes. Then why? Because somebody out there in the wacky world of the internet was going to screen grab it. And it's just too easy to screen grab something and post it to the internet. So I thought Prime deleting it was crazy. So, but hey, they don't want that image kind of portrayed out there in the world. But man, it was great. The air of aggressiveness was out there.
I think is it the Tucker Kraft video you're talking about, Doc?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I think they posted it during the game, and it was up a little bit. I think I'm just going to be honest. We were on air, and I turned my phone on, and I saw 30 seconds ago Prime posted this, and I screen recorded it and put it up. And it blew up instantly. I told the boys, I was so excited. I didn't see anyone post it. I think I was the first one to post it. I spelled Tucker Kraft's name wrong. I put like, I don't even know what I put, but it blew up. It like went boom, and then everyone else started posting it. So yeah,
it was Tuck it.
It was Tuck-It Kraft. Yeah. I mean, which
Tuck-It
at that
Kraft.
point he was tucking it all right. Like that man was running for his life. So it made sense. Maybe that was why.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, leave it up there, but everything regarding the Lions is hot right now. And the flag thing went crazy during that game. The Packers game was a wild situation. So I'm of the opinion that, hey, if you're going to post it, just leave it up there. If you're a Prime Video, I wonder if they got a call from the league or from the Lions or why. I'm always curious of that. But yeah, clearly that probably wasn't the best thing for them to post, but it was entertaining as all hell, no doubt about it. And that's just the way it is. I'm like, yeah, if you post it, there is no point of deleting it because it's out there. Literally, you got, like I said, I would say 3 minutes at most. Someone's going to screen grab it because it's just something that's just a wild video that a lot of people were excited to see. And look, that's the mentality. And you know what, too? Side note on that video, when you watch it, I respect it. Who's there by his side hyping him up? His guy, Terry Arnold. And he, I think he talked about it, and he said, post-game, he said, hey, I'm about it. If Kirby's down with something, I'm down with something. And that's loyalty. That's brotherhood. That's what you want from a team. And the brotherhood, you could see the excitement too, the like childlike excitement that they had. Like, yeah, we just like, it was actually, like I said, Tucker Kraft saying that was the dumbest thing he could say. And Byron Murphy saying that from the Vikings, saying that I'm tired of hearing about the Lions. Well, that's too bad because the Lions got one of the best coaches, best quarterbacks, best GMs. You're going to be hearing about the Lions for the next 3-4 years, Byron. I'm sorry. And it's just one of those deals. You're going to just have to deal with it. The Detroit Lions are here for the foreseeable future. And I don't think they're going to let up their grip if something bad happens this year. I think the Lions will be right back next year with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. And it's a good time right now for the Lions.
Byron. Looking forward next year into a team that you were just talking about, Doc, the Vikings. They're going to have an interesting situation on their hands when you look at Sam Darnold playing the way that he is, but you also drafted J.J. McCarthy, was it 10th, 11 in this year's draft? What do you think the Vikings are going to do come the end of the season? Do you think they extend Darnold, or do you think they say, hey, we got Daniel Jones on the team, just re-sign him for cheap and let's roll out with J.J. next year? What do you think the Vikings will do?
Yeah, no, if they keep Daniel Jones, something's wrong. I look at it from the perspective of, I don't think I'm maybe different. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to command a crazy offer somewhere else, because it seems to me that the film dictates that this is scheme specific. Like, hey, you work with your guy who knows your strengths. This is a situation in which you need Kevin O'Connell to be able to handle it. So I would say that Sam Darnold, definitely this last month of the season into the postseason, it's still an audition for him. Because look, and it's sometimes philosophical. You have a quarterback on his rookie deal. Do you turn to J.J. McCarthy next year right away when you have a team on the cusp? I don't think so. I think that if you're Sam Darnold, you test the market to see what you're worth, and you come back to the Vikings and you say, all right, I don't need $60 million a year. You can't legitimately ask for that. You just take stability. You say, hey, can I get anywhere between 28 and 35 a year? And if you keep me around, then you got a great situation. But I don't know if the Vikings want to do that. I don't know if they're going to offer that much money when you just drafted a rookie quarterback. That's telling. So the only thing that Darnold can do is control the controllables, and he's got to have a great run here. Like, if he falls back, has interceptions, that Lions game might be a telling game for his future and what happens in the postseason. Because, look, we all know money's made in the postseason. If he leads them to a playoff win and he's part of the reason, if he's throwing the football all over the place, then basically each win in the postseason is probably going to be worth $10 million per, in salary per year. So right now I start him at $30 million. It could be his agent's asking price, and you go up from there with each playoff win.
Hey, Doc, what about another team? Drama in Philly. A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts beefing. And, I may or may not had some money on A.J. Brown. So him being wide open as much as he was against the Panthers and not getting the ball, I was a little upset. But when you pay attention to the media coverage, they're scraping by some bad teams. What are your thoughts on kind of the Eagles this year? Saquon's balling, but it seems like, Doc, their passing game, they got weapons, but Jalen Hurts, correct me if I'm wrong, he doesn't put a lot of fear into my eyes in terms of a matchup with his arm. I think what they're doing on the ground is incredible. What do you think about the Eagles, the drama and everything going on in Philly? Because it seems like for about a week there, maybe still there's some people out there, they immediately crown the Eagles the best team in the NFC. What's your thoughts on how they've been playing?
Yeah, there's as much drama there as there is going on right now in your chat. It's like, come on, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. What's going on? You guys are drama filled. You like to, I'm pretty sure they're probably in a chat right now. They're probably in a separate group chat, dogging Jalen Hurts right now. That boy can't throw. Like, come on, man. You know what they're probably like? We had Jared Goff. Our paper would be through the roof.
Yeah. AJ Brown would be happy. I know that.
Right. AJ Brown is tough to please. And that's what makes you thankful that the Lions don't have that. Could you imagine if Jameson's like, I need to rock more? And he just puts that out there, or after a game, he looks dejected and we're all like, Doc's like, hey, what's wrong? He's like, not getting the ball enough. I need my touches. I'm not getting fed enough. That would be hilarious at the highest level. Lions are ultra professional. None of that situations going on because you're 12-1. But look, at the same time, I respect AJ Brown because he wants to meet his potential and he feels like he's a difference maker. And he feels like, and I know what it's like to be a difference maker. You feel like, hey, if things go smoothly, then we should be able to win games by more than just squeaking by. So part of the reason is the passing game is a little bit substandard at the moment. But I do think that you got to be patient with Jalen Hurts. He's still inexperienced. But here's the deal. And I think too, what's up there too, which is what should be played up. Saquon deserves the rock. Are you going to not give the football to Saquon Barkley? My God, what an amazing fantasy pickup by me by drafting Saquon Barkley. I knew he was going to ball out. I knew he was going to ball out. Got me to 10-4, baby. Here we go, playoffs. I'm going to have a heart attack because I'm playing a 7-7 team that has some good players. Has Stafford, and I'm a little nervous here.
Upset alert, Doc. Upset alert.
I'll give my report. 10-4. I'm the 2 seed, and let's go. I love my fantasy team, and I'm going to get my championship and bring the trophy to the show.
Doc, what's your team name? I got to ask. What's
this could be something.
No. I used to have some bad ones, but no.
I love how you just
no. This one I went simple. It was Lions Podcast Slappy. That's my name.
Oh, that's a Doc name. Yeah. I love that. That's
Lions Podcast. Okay. You want to know what it was? You want to know what it was when TJ Hawkinson was here? It was 8 Mile. I have Big Hawk.
Oh, now that's a Doc name. Now that's
we had a fun time with the fantasy name. So look, with the Eagles, that's an interesting team. I'd love to see it in Detroit. I'd love to see the Detroit Lions kind of erase one of those bad memories. I don't know if you guys remember the Lomas Brown guarantee, where that was when I was in my youth, where Lomas Brown guaranteed that the Lions were going to go to Philly and win. And then the Eagles dropped a hammer quickly on the Lions. It was one of the most worst ever guarantees publicly stated ever. And I hope the chance can right itself where the Lions can play the Philadelphia Eagles. Their defense is concerning because I like what they got with Cooper DeJean and their defensive line. That injury to Brant Graham is going to be costly for them, but I like their front. I like what they can do, but I just think that the Lions can take advantage in a lot of different ways. And what's great about the Lions is they can find the weakness and advantage and take advantage of it. And I think that Jalen Hurts, handing the ball off to Saquon versus the Lions defense will be a fun matchup, but I think the Lions can maybe shut down the Saquon train. So I'm not concerned about, like I said, my prediction all year has been Lions get to the Super Bowl. My concern comes in when you play the Ravens, Chiefs, or Bills. Can you make that 1 or 2 extra plays defensively in a game where they may not let you?
We find out Sunday, Doc. You're
find out.
Hey, is it true or false? Richard Sherman, legend, is a Detroit Lions on SI reader.
He has to be. Or let me tell you what happened. This is great. So I love checking out all the podcast clips that are out there. Sometimes it is harder for me to listen to whole shows. I try to catch your guys as much as possible and a bunch of others as well across the various digital networks in town. Definitely the guys there in the prime time at our friend spot is always fun to listen to as well. Their hijinks and hilarity, it puts a smile on my face at times. But I was scrolling through and I saw Richard Sherman beefing, and it was a great headline. Richard Sherman complains about those who complain about Dan Campbell, and I'm listening, I'm enjoying it, and I see the words, and I'm like, get the F out. I wrote that. They took it from me. Did they credit me? No. But I said, I double checked. I said, wait a minute. They just highlighted the story I did about Teddy Bruschi. And it actually, you know, I'm of the belief that it wasn't just happenstance. I'm a firm believer that some higher power just directed me to see that, because it just goes to show you that the information you put out there, I know how many people are reading it, but and I know how many people are on it this very second. And I know how many people we have. The blessing of my job for the 60 seconds I talk about myself is the analytics are just sick. Sick. Like I can know very much to this up to the second where readers are coming from, what they're reading, how long they're staying. It's so reporter friendly that it's just like made me such a unbelievable publisher to be able to know what people will read and what's interesting for people. And I've always known that, but to combine that with technology is amazing. So to see them take my article clip, the story about Teddy Bruschi, and to plaster it on their podcast clip, it put a smile on my face, because like I said, I interact with the readers a lot on Facebook, but they're all just like names and faces, just names. It's not, I'm buried in Allen Park and buried in the studio. I very rarely get to, that's why I love talking with your chat when I can, is that I very rarely get to interact live with people because I'm so busy. And so to see that, it made me happy, and it was really cool to see. So for that, for some, I like to ask for credit and get tagged, and I like to ask for all those things. But in that spot, I just said, hey, that's pretty cool that you did that. Thank you, Richard Sherman's podcast, or the producer, or whoever clipped that part and included us. You made a reporter happy.
And nobody's too big to read the docs articles.
That's right.
Nobody is too big.
Nobody. Right, Jeff? So wait, Jeff, you never answered the question. What was your favorite story from today? I had some good ones. I had a big one. I had an easy one.
He did deflect to me.
I had an easy one delivered today, and it hit like a grand slam, man. I'm very happy. You didn't read the site today? There was no interesting story on there.
I checked out. This is like, I did my homework before the show. I read the injury updates, but I didn't go through. I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc. I didn't read a bunch of articles.
I'm not doing my job. Okay.
No. You're doing your job.
Oh no.
I'm not doing my job.
Listen.
I'm not doing my job.
My only goal. I said I don't care about the others. I care about the one click that I'm looking for. So today, the best story on the site was the fact that the fan got his tickets revoked. The judge, the hammer, the Detroit Lions cut off money. Now, they can easily do it when they got 20,000 people that are going to take his place, but they took a paying customer, and they punished him for that action. And it's tough. I hope that the fan gets, Mr. Yusuf gets his chance to come back in the future. But imagine, and it was crazy how the world works. I was talking with somebody else in a totally different sphere about consequences, not about Lions, not about this story. I was talking about how people, are in denial at times about stuff. And what I was always fascinated with as a youngster was judges, because judges, would listen to cases and they would hear both sides. They'd hear the theatrics of the defense, the sternness of the prosecution. A verdict would come down, and then the person who was always guilty would always end up making some excuse. And then the judge would just be like, you did this. This is wrong. Don't do it again. And here's your punishment. And I just feel like, clearly you can't act. I mean, even if you are provoked, even if, you're holding the flag and Matt LaFleur comes up to you and gives you the most derogatory thing, that's probably not the thing you're going to need to be doing, because guess what? Especially when you're on the field in front of the national anthem, you're going to be videoed, and it went worldwide. And the Lions can't appear to be soft, because guess what? Then Booner would do it. Then we'd see Lukas with the Michigan bald head or whatever he's got going on, flying off the field and being like, it'll escalate. So I think this will be, one of those deals where it's going to be tough for the individual. I hope that there is a little bit of forgiveness when the story's told, how it shook out. Sometimes an emotion gets the best of you, and you rile it up. And the fans, Lions fans, are passionate. I respect the guy for getting riled up.
He doubled down. He didn't back down at all.
Time and place. I mean, in the end, the Lions were the judge. They sent him a bold letter and said, hey, you did X. This is a license. You can't be doing that. And it's unfortunate, because this is not the time to be having your tickets revoked. I listen, if it was me, I sit him down and I'm like, all right, Mr. Yusuf, here's a dilemma. You're Sheila Hemp. Here's a dilemma. And here's how we can solve it. You besmirched my team, Mr. Yusuf.
Besmirched.
You besmirched the reputation of my fine team at the worst possible time, Mr. Yusuf, at the national anthem. But here's what we can do. I noticed that your season tickets cost $2,600. Slide me $4,600 and you got yourself a deal. Bye-bye.
There's no way Sheila is asking for money.
I would just charge. I mean, the guy's passionate. You could have took him for another $3,000. I mean, he would have paid it. He would have been like, you know what? You just give him the nice spiel with, okay, maybe not Sheila, the owner. Maybe, somebody else like Danny Rogers. Like, look, you did a mistake here. This is a problem. You embarrassed us. John Maakaron is writing this story. I can't have that. I can't have Lukas and Jeff and Booner having this kind of discussion. Hit me with $5,500 and you got 2 years, then no problem.
$900 off.
You charge his ass and you take his money. He'll pay it. And you know what? I'll be besmirched for my extra $5,000, no doubt about it. That's
Doc,
what you do. You take his money.
Did you say Danny Rogers?
Yeah.
Did Danny Rogers have pull like that for season ticket holders? Like to sit down and be like,
what I'm saying is that if you're a season ticket holder and you're, in a negotiating situation, I'm more primed to negotiate with Danny sitting across from me going, listen, we're going to need $7,000 from you because you fucked up. And he's going to be like, you know what? Okay, Danny, no problem. He'll cut the check right then and there.
Yeah, that's
Doc's out here trying to take money from the people.
That's
Doc.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he should have kept his season tickets, but he should have been charged more for them. I mean, the guy's passionate. The guy is literally willing to throw down for the Lions. That's somebody that would be willing to pay a lot more for the price and for the mistake. I think he'd pay it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even they talked about it on St. Brown's pod too. The guy who sits behind the visitor's bench and chirps the entire game, and it got so bad that DJ Moore was just so rattled he gave him a game ball because he was like, respect.
That was him.
Yeah. No, not that guy. Not that guy. Different guy.
Like, oh my god!
But the Lions love that guy. He just chills on the visitor side and just chirps the entire time.
He should. He should.
It's the best. We appreciate you as always, Doc. You guys can check him out at Detroit Podcast on X.
Doc, before you leave, I got to ask you about one thing. Just because you don't have a bias in this. Just talk about a flag. What do you make about the Ohio State situation with the lawmaker trying to push? I'm just interested. I really am.
No. Now that's the next goal. I have a lot of readers, and I have a lot of podcast listeners. And on the last Doc and Jock that came out last week, we talked about it. And I said that it should be allowed for one game. Okay, it was Doc and Jock last Thursday. The last game of the year, flag planting all across the board. But you just have to regulate it, okay? Because you can't be having all these fights. So you need smart people like me to operate these kind of things. Simple. Flag planting weekend. All right? Social media galore. You can do it. Real simple. Team wins a game. All right. Handshakes, interviews, The flag planting cannot happen. Otherwise, a $200,000 fine will take place. until every single member of the opposition leaves the field. That way you can plant the flag, you can dance around it, take all the videos, celebrate with everybody. You cannot plant a flag when there's humans from the opposition, because there is no way anybody on the other side that has any balls is just going to let you do it. So you have to regulate that out, and you have to say nobody on the opposition can be on the field. You plant the flag, and everybody can have that little extra motivation, little extra fun planting the flag. It's fun, but it will never not be fights if someone else is on the field at the same time, because I loved what Sawyer did. I thought that he earned a lot of respect. Like, hey, I'm not letting these guys do this. So you're never going to enjoy it. It's just going to be like a trigger all the time. So just let people do it, but just regulate it so that they just have to wait. Just wait 5 minutes. Wait for everybody to clear out. Celebrate. If you're a winning team, what's your rush to get back in the locker room? Enjoy it. Be out there. Celebrate. Bring 3 flags. Why just one? Plant them all over the place. And that would be great motivation for the losing team to be like, look what they're doing. They're celebrating. So it's fun. It's cool to do. But unfortunately, you can't, because the opposition just gets pissed and mad all the time. So I would regulate it.
Oh, there you go. Doc's insight. Flag weekend. Plant the flag.
Flag planting weekend, baby. What's up?
There you go. Check them out at Detroit Podcast on X, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. John, the Doc, we appreciate you as always joining us every Wednesday. And you know what, man? Go crush this weekend. Big game for the Doc. A lot of content being pumped out. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what
Lions
you're doing.
win, baby. Lions win 35-31, 13-1.
Big score.
And please, also, Jeff, Sunday's also a good day to read. We have content all day long. Pick one. Just one.
There you go.
Bring it next Wednesday. That's your homework, Jeff. Bring an article next Wednesday.
It's like the book club.
Yeah. Oh, Doc's gone. Dude, that might be one of the funniest.
By the way, brought to you guys as always. Bet US. Shout out to them.
Shout out Bet US, man.
That's
one of the best bits of newest bits that we have, I think.
Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's I'll tell you what. Got some impact players I want to talk about here. And I want to talk to you guys about them. I want to talk to you guys about them. Some impact players of mine that I think this weekend you're going to have to keep an eye out for. All right. So let me get the tunes on. And by the way, if you're tuning in, we appreciate you. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. We just hit 11.1. We're almost at 11.2. So we're pushing. All right. Appreciate you
15, 20K. We're on our way.
Yes, we are. All right.
Got that WAP.
Let's get these. Boom. That's one. This right here, fellas. Man, leaving the game early. What?
What? What's up, Boone?
Nothing. This is interesting to me. I'm interested. I'm sorry, I'm making faces over here. I'm excited. This is thrilling. Do I have Jeff rattled? Like, what is happening right now?
All right, so
How rattled do I have this?
I honestly, I thought you had something to add, so I was confused. All right,
I'm just reading the chat, making faces. I'm having a good time today. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, first player, Lee McNeil, left early last week, concussion. He comes back this week, and he comes back with a vengeance. DJ Reader's a little banged up. I think for a guy like Josh Allen, he's going to run around. The best thing you want to do, you guys know how it works. Pressure from the interior. And Lee McNeil, this year he's had some great games. He's had some okay games. I think this week, guys, to me, it feels like a big game for Lee McNeil. I think he's going to do some work in the run game for James Cook, of course, but with DJ Reader a little banged up with the shoulder, I think Lee McNeil in the pass rush side of things can be a very, very integral player this weekend. So that is the first player on my list. Now, the second player I have on my list is a man who, Lukas Klotz, you will appreciate.
Come on now. Come on.
The guy's not going to have two bad games. He's not, or at least not a Jahmyr Gibbs game. He's going to have a Jahmyr Gibbs game. He's going to have, 100 all-purpose. He's going to score, and he did last week. But I'm talking about on the ground as well. Usually, you're used to seeing Jameer have a huge game. This week, Bills' rushing defense not very good. Lions, they want to get that run game back on track. I think Jameer Gibbs this week, big week from the running back and a good bounce back week. And he just eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing. And I think he gets about an 80, 90 rushing yard game, to be honest, minimum this week. So I think Jameer Gibbs has a huge day on Sunday. Now, the final player. This is a guy that he's going to start getting ramped up now. Okay. He played some last week.
Uh-oh.
Now we're getting more of this player. And this guy, you know what? I'm throwing everyone for a loop. You know who I think is going to have an underrated impact in this game? It is the Jamal Adams. I got Jamal Adams on this list because for a guy like Josh Allen who's going to run around, try and make plays, I think Jamal, that dude can flat out hit. We understand that. He's good against the run. They use him as a blitzer. I think he can impact this game in many different ways. He's not the cover guy. He's not a cover guy, like a guy that you can depend on in coverage. But I think Jamal Adams this week is going to have one of those games where you look at it and you're like, well, I can point out a couple plays that Jamal Adams made that were pretty significant. Maybe, a Josh Allen sack or, laying a hit on Josh Allen when he's trying to scramble, whatever. I think Jamal Adams this week, fellas, now ramped up snaps. He played some last week. You still got some injuries in that linebacker core. They're going to kind of use him by committee. I do think Jamal Adams this week will get more of a run, and therefore I think he'll get more comfortable with another week, and therefore make a bigger impact. So I think Jamal Adams will make some plays out there on Sunday. So those are my three guys that I'm going to be watching out for: Lee McNeil, Jameer Gibbs, and Jamal Adams.
I like the little Jamal Adams sprinkle at the end. You know,
Jeff, all the props to you. What a list here for today. Love it. Love this list. The Jamal Adams thing. If you would have gone like Aleem, Jameer, and you just threw in like Amon-Ra, I would have been like, okay. Throwing in Jamal Adams, I love this. Hey, this is what I like right here. Now you know what's going to happen, right, Jeff? Manifestation. He's going to have like 2 sacks on Sunday.
Come on, forced fumble on Josh Allen.
Forced fumble.
Pat O'Connor pushes Josh Allen out of the
Oh my gosh!
Pocket. David Long
pass
goes
break up.
Tackle. Can't quite make it, but it makes Josh Allen a little bit unbalanced. And here comes Jamal Adams, returning the favor from the AFC East. He remembers those dog days when he was in New York on the Jets, getting locked out of the training camp facility, playing for Robert Saleh, playing for Adam Gase. I mean, the man has seen some dark days and getting beat up by Josh Allen. Now he's on a true Super Bowl contender, not that whack Seattle bullshit. He's on a true Super Bowl contender. Be able to repay some favors to Josh Allen this week. I like it, Jeff. I like it. I do.
Yeah,
I truly do.
Thank you, fellas. I will add this. I state this every week, of course. I want to make sure we get this very clear. I don't want to mix up my list with Klotzy's list. I think we're doing that where it's like I got to find underrated guy. This isn't an underrated list. This is like who I think Klotzy finds the gems. This isn't about finding gems. I'm going to tell you guys the players I think will make an impact. Now, do I think Jamal will make a bigger impact than Za'Darius? No, I'm not saying that, but Jamal, to me, I think he really will. I don't think this is like, a sneaky little Jamal Adams game. I think Jamal could make a ton of plays this weekend. I'm serious. Like, I'm being completely serious when I say that. So
love it.
These are why I have these guys in here. I'll leave Klotzy to more of the, digging deep, finding guys I'm not aware of. But you won't see a list I'm not going to put out with like Ben Neiman on it. You know what I'm saying? No, all due respect. But I got to put my list will have more bigger names. I'm going to have some bigger names on my list consistently.
Hey, I just like that. I like the third spot, like last week. If you would have thrown into Pat O'Connor last week and that hits, he made an impact, all right. That would have been something else, man. Imagine that. Yeah,
well, this week it'll be the Jamal Adams.
Which I love. I love it.
Yeah, that'll be the Jamal Adams call. I'll call that one from.
I think you're right too, Jamal. Like this is a perfect game for him to go out there and make a big impact. He only had like 8 snaps last week. Might go up a little bit this week because he's in the building for another week.
30. Give him 30.
He's probably not going to get 30. Caleb, it was so funny pregame last week. Caleb was asking all of us, "Hey, over under Jamal Adams 34.5 snaps." And I'm like under it. He's like, I think he might go over. He had 8 snaps.
Give me 30 from Jamal this week, Booner.
No, I would say probably like 15 to 20. That would be my number.
Nope. That's why you're wrong.
Yeah, Jamal plays the entire game. They just let him
He
loose.
doesn't come off the field. Every special teams play, he's out there.
Yeah,
He's back there turning kicks and punts.
That would be crazy.
Watching him last week, he looked like he played with some ferociousness. Like he was like some force.
Like he hasn't played football in a while.
Yeah, like you could tell he's got that juice, and I think that juice could lead to something this weekend. Maybe I don't hate the forced fumble prediction. Maybe like a sack, forced fumble. Big tackle for loss, maybe 2. I think he does some things. All right, let's get the mailbag. Drop your questions.
Drop them.
Yeah,
Anything. Ask anything.
ETN says mailbag. Who wins, Rams or 49ers?
Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are continue to roll. I think the Rams win that division. I think the Rams are going to be one of the top 4 seeds in the NFC. The last team, I would and I know I've said enough. I would rather see the Eagles, the Packers, and the Vikings come playoff time than the Rams. The Rams can beat anybody on any given day.
I hope they win that division. I had the Rams winning the NFC West. I didn't know that they would be injury riddled, the 49ers. But
did you pick the Rams?
I did. I did pick them.
Dude, let's go. I love that for you, bro.
A lot of things kind of fell a certain way, but we're here, At
least you have a chance. That's a great one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't know. Look, the Rams, they seem a little up and down to me, though. That's the only thing I look at. They're a little up. They've won you mentioned it, 6 of the last 8. The Rams team you saw on Sunday, like that.
That's
remember what they did last year, though. They finished the season like extremely strong last year. But then and they're starting to do it again.
But then you get the Rams like against the Saints, and they just that was disgusting. So I hope you get that Rams team because they could go on a run here, and rattle off a bunch of wins and win the division easily. We'll see. Seattle's got to face the Vikings, so they still got that. They still got that matchup. Could sneak up on the Vikings though. The Seahawks, I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm just going to call every game the Vikings play an upset. Yeah,
you have done that last week.
Yeah, so. I said the Falcons last week. I'm going to keep it going.
Yeah, you should switch because you've lost it. You should switch and reverse
jinxing it.
Yeah, you should reverse jinx.
That's why I learned with the Colts early on. Every time I said they'd win, they get embarrassed, and then when I said they're going to get embarrassed, they'd find a win. The one game out, they're in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, ETN even agrees. We always play up and down to our competition. Hopefully, we turned a corner last week. Yeah, that Rams offense is scary last week. I mean, it's a pretty scary offense. Let's see. Ryan Gibson, does the Bills have a decent O-line? They probably don't have to work so hard due to Josh Allen scrambling. That could be a bad thing for the O-line. The Bills O-line is actually not bad. They got Deion Dawkins is pretty good.
They've kept him pretty clean.
Osiris Torrance.
Yeah, Osiris Florida. That's a Gator. That's a Gator.
Gator boy out there with Jervon Dexter. They were the only offensive line last year, at least, that was able to put all 5 guys out there every week. They never had to kind of rearrange their offensive line. I know, like Jeff, you just brought up Deion Dawkins. I know he got hurt early on in the year. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's back and fully healthy again, but their offensive line is probably top 10 offensive line in the NFL.
Michael says, mailbag, when are the boys coming back to the west side of the state again? Well, Michael, we will be back at some point. I don't know. It's tough now because it's, it's about a 2-hour drive for the boys.
Tough trip.
Tough, especially in the
we have
conditions.
We have 4 weeks left. Playoffs in Detroit. Hopefully we're downtown for every week for the playoffs.
Could get a little tricky.
We probably have 4 weeks left of an opportunity to go to Grand Rapids if we're downtown for the playoffs. So, hey, maybe, I don't know. It's great out there, dude. Grand Rapids is unbelievable. And where we were at, the garage, was a great spot, man. Great spot. It was just the drive. It's far, that might be a once a year thing. We go out to the west side of the state to do a show.
Well, hey, we appreciate you all. By the way, we're coming out with some new merch, so stick around. Get your merchandise, officialctsports.com. As always.
Hey, this one with the back on it. Oh my gosh. Go get this.
Grab it. We just came out with 2 new designs, and we came out with a golf hat, some things getting ready for next year. So check out the store, see what you like. All right, just check it out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Have a great day tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. We'll be live. We'll be back. And we got some guests tomorrow. I already talked to some people, so we'll have
Come on now.
It's going to be a couple special guests. So we'll have a couple people on. But until tomorrow, we will catch you all. Have a great night. See you.
Guys. Yeah.